Hi, and welcome to the Circle of Influence podcast. Today we have Jesse Raeburn. Thank you, and welcome, Jesse.
Thanks for having me, Kate. I'm excited to be here.
So excited to have you. Um, a lot of people will know you from TV and from real estate, and obviously your social media is phenomenal. I've been checking it out. So, what would you say, like what pivotal moments have you had that have led you to the entrepreneurial journey that you have with, leading into Raeburn Media now?
Um, I just, I don't know. To be honest, I'm filming a lot of television shows. I'm filming a lot of stuff with the real estate that I do, and I want to create more content and be in control of the content I put out, and then also other productions that I want to do. And so I thought, well, rather than hiring a videographer every time, I might as well create a business where I can create my own content and then also create content for other businesses. And yeah, we've been going for 2 months now. We've already got quite a few good clients, which is really exciting. And yeah, it's not just like get a phone call or can you send a videographer. We're not really about that. We're more about creating content with a strategy in place and then implementing that over an extended period of time, not just like a one shoot. We're looking at, creating content for 12 months for clients. And yeah, it's been really exciting. We're starting production at the moment with a solar manufacturer called Enphase. They're a global company. They're in the UK, they're in the USA, they're in Asia, and they're also in Australia. And so, yeah, we're teaming up with them. We actually come up with a sort of marketing strategy for them, which they loved. And so we start producing that last week. And that's going to be really exciting for Raeburn Media.
Amazing. So it's predominantly social media content.
Well, it is predominantly social media content that we are creating for people. But in saying that, we always shoot everything in landscape format. So then we can provide longer form content to them that they can then use on their websites, on their YouTube channels. And then from that landscape, we create short form content in real format that they can use on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and even YouTube Shorts now, which is getting really popular.
Yes, they are, and that is the biggest struggle, isn't it? When you have a business or you're trying to just promote yourself in that social way, it's, as you say, in a lot of your content, you've got a social media business open 24 hours a day. So you've got someone working, a salesperson working for you all the time. But that's really hard to be able to, what am I going to put out this week? What's my social calendar look like? How do I get it uniformed? Like if people look at your social media, and I've been poring over it prior to us catching up, you make everything look totally seamless. So whether you're talking about real estate, whether you're talking about Raeburn Media, if you're showing something in your personal life, if you're reflecting on the past when you're a contestant with the block, everything seems to mesh seamlessly together. How do you do that? What's what are you thinking when you're putting something together? Obviously, it's all very considered and you have a laser focus, but what's the thought process?
Well, I think that if I was to go out there and create a brand in, say, cosmetics, like that is not my passion, it's not my knowledge. And so that I think would not work well for me. So all the businesses that I'm involved in and the content that I create, I'm super passionate about. And I've been doing them. I've been doing real estate for 8 years. I've been building and renovating for the last 10 years. I've been doing media on TV for the last 4 years. And so everything ties in well together. And because I do those things every day, it makes it easy to create content for them because I'm doing it. And then it also makes it easy to talk about it because I am talking about it all the time, which is probably why it looks maybe effortless, but there's a lot of work that does go into it.
Does look effortless, so very well done. It's fantastic. So obviously being an entrepreneur, you have a mind that thinks all over the place. You're obviously looking for business opportunities all the time and how can you make this work? What are things that you'd be looking for if you were to branch out? I mean, you've done a lot, tiling, real estate, and now.
Yeah. The next business venture I do want to get up and running is I want to not just build my own properties, but I want to start developing projects with clients. And, because of the nature of the business that I'm in real estate, a lot of my clients are developers, and then a lot of my clients are, quite wealthy, and they're always looking for investment opportunities. And so now I've built quite a good relationship with so many people who believe in me, and quite a few who have said, look, if you ever do want to go out on your own and start developing your own projects, then let us know. Like, we would like to get involved. And that's sort of the next evolution, I guess, for Raeburn, is to, keep doing everything that I'm doing, but start to develop projects with other people and with clients. And then together, we can do more. There's a saying, it's like, on your own, you can go fast, but together you can go far. And I look at a lot of very successful developers that I know, and they're all in property, and they all do projects with multiple people. And the reason is for that, on your own, you can only do so much. But if you do get together with a group of people, you can have multiple projects running at the same time. You have multiple settlements happening every year. And then it also means you can alleviate some of the burden, because different people have different skill sets. So you don't have to just do everything by yourself. And the best thing about property, the developer, my friend told me, who's kind of a mentor, is that, if you start a business together, say a concreting business, well, that business is going to be around for 20 years. If you start, start a doctor's surgery or practice with someone, you're locked into this until forever, right? Until it sort of, maybe it breaks down, it falls apart. But with property development, you're in and out of them. Like, you form a company, you buy a property, you get investors to invest. And then when the project's complete, it sells. And if everyone's had a good time, if everyone has made a good return on their investment, well, they can just do another one. But if they didn't enjoy it, then they don't have to. They get their money and they walk away. Wow. So it's not marriage where it's for life. It really is like, only a couple of years that you're in business with people. And so then, I guess, if they are happy, if you prove yourself, if it is successful, then those people will stay with you forever, ideally. But I think it's easier for people to get involved because there is sort of a time limit on how long they're in that investment for.
Sure. You do a lot, obviously. I can hear it in your mind, and you're across absolutely everything. You can tell you're very particular and precise about things. What do you do to keep yourself sane, calm, all of the actual life balance? What's the process for you?
Well, I probably don't have much life balance, but I think if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And so everything that I'm doing at the moment, TV, media, real estate, building, I just love all of those things. I don't see any of them as work. They're all a passion to me, even though it is hard work. I don't see it, I'm busier now than I've ever been in my life. I have more responsibilities, but it doesn't feel like a job. Like, I just absolutely enjoy it. And that's how I sort of manage it. It's also good that every one of those businesses, you kind of like, they are my own businesses. Other than real estate, I do work for someone. But in that, real estate is very flexible. So as long as I'm listing and selling, it doesn't come into it. So I still have time to, every morning I drop my daughter off at daycare. Most afternoons I'll pick her up from daycare and take her home. We go to the park and play around. And then it's just about being more productive when you are at work. And then, as I say, like, most people work for 8 hours a day, but really there are genuinely 24 hours in a day where you can be doing something. And so often I'll work late at night, or if there's something on my mind, I'll wake up really early in the morning. Like the other morning, I woke up at like 3 o'clock because I just had this idea in my head and I had to get it out. And I just jumped on the computer and started putting everything down, doing feasibilities, coming up with a plan. And then, my daughter wakes up at 6 o'clock. So I've already done 3 hours work before she wakes up, and then I can spend time with her. And yeah.
It's interesting because, obviously this podcast is for people who are entrepreneurs and for leaders, because sometimes people have an idea in their head. Like you said, you just got up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you mapped it out. But did you learn that on the fly, how to strategize and how to make things work? Or did you have a mentor through time where you went like, I want to aspire to be like that person? Or were there multiple people?
Yeah, I think I've got sort of one mentor, one person in particular who I really look up to. I think he's incredibly successful. He's very generous with his time and knowledge, but he doesn't know he's my mentor. I think that's the trick. I think so many people are looking for a mentor and they want to ask these people 1,000 questions. I don't need to ask him 1,000 questions. Like, your job is to educate yourself about the industry. There's so much information out there. And then it's like when you get down to the granular, if there's something that's so big you really need to understand, that's when you can reach out to these people and say, hey, I just want to bounce an idea off you. But if I asked him to be my mentor, he'd probably say no because he doesn't think he's successful enough. But the truth is he is. And so when I'm looking at these bigger ideas, I sort of run them past him and he'll give me his 2 cents. But it's not like we sit down and he doesn't write down notes or anything. It really is, just about having a conversation, and it's up to you to interpret and retain all that knowledge and not forget it.
Right. It's true. And most entrepreneurs don't want to have someone tell them how to do things because they're out of the box thinkers anyway, and they just want to tap in and make sure that they're not flying off into a crazy process.
Yeah, and look, there's so much information out there, like I listen to quite a few successful business owners on podcasts and on YouTube, and they give very helicopter, high level of what you should be doing. And I think that a lot of that information is I think they maybe forget how successful they are, because some of the information they give, I find, is not as relative. It's like, yeah, that's all great if you are already successful, but sort of where do you start? So I think it's good to have people in your life who are not as successful as, like, your Gary V's or your Grant Cardones or your Patrick Bet-Davids. And it's to look at someone and go, okay, that level of success this person has, I think is actually achievable for me. Like, I have no illusion. I don't think I'm ever going to be the Grant Cardones of the world or the Elon Musks. So it's good to listen to those people for inspiration and probably to stay motivated. But there are people in my circle who I look at their wealth and I'm like, that is attainable for me. And then I ask them, how did they get started? And they break it down. And most of them, it doesn't happen overnight. I think that's the thing so many people need to remember. Like, some people might think I'm successful. I don't really think I'm successful at all. I'm just, doing my thing. But I'm 33 years old, and the people I look up to are, 45, 50, 60 years old. And so I think it's important to remember that, like, where you are on that journey. The chance of being a overnight success and having $1 billion .com business or a tech startup or something is literally, you're more likely to win the lotto. So I think that aspiring to be that's all well and good, but I have much more realistic goals that are actually achievable to me. And to me, it's not a dollar amount. Like, my goal is to not become a billionaire. My goal is to become wealthy enough that my family don't have to worry about money. We can go on holidays when we like. We can choose to work if we want to or not want to. And, you don't need $1 billion for that, genuinely. Like, if you could get to wealth of maybe $10 million a year and a passive income of, $200,000 or $300,000 a year, then that to me is more than enough to live a comfortable life for forever. So that's what I'm trying to build up to.
Did you come from a family that worked in entrepreneurship, or is this just, are you the black sheep of the family?
Yeah, so I'm very fortunate. My mum and dad are still together, and they're just workers. They've always been an employee of someone, but they had incredible work ethic. Their work ethic, I think, which instilled in me, is that they would work for the business owner that they were in as if it was their business, which I think so many people, not just young people, but so many in general, don't have that vision or that work ethic. They're like, well, this is what I'm paid to do. This is all I'm going to do. I'm going to start work at 9 o'clock and I'm going to finish at 5 o'clock. And if I have to do 20 minutes of overtime, I'm going to charge for overtime. And I sort of live by saying, it's like, if you're not prepared to do more than what you're paid for, you'll never be paid more for what you do.
Yeah, that's a great saying. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, most people don't start out as entrepreneurs. Most people start out working for someone for a paycheck. So, I guarantee if you can, in that business that you're working, work really hard, put in the extra effort, you're going to build a better relationship with your boss, who potentially is in the position you want to be. And then that person is going to end up, I guarantee, like, probably mentoring you about how they got started, because if you're in their business, you're doing what they are passionate about, they're going to see your enthusiasm and dedication, and they're going to be willing to teach you things that they've learned along the way, which will then enable you to be the entrepreneur to go out and start your own business.
Yeah. Exactly, 100%. I read on one of your social posts that, and I will get it wrong in the way that you said it, but essentially it was to never be the smartest person in the room. And I absolutely love this saying because it gives you that growth mindset of always wanting to learn from people around you. And if you are the smartest person in the room, then you need to find another room because you're not going to be learning in that space. But no, go ahead.
No, it's so true. And I think, I think in Australia, for example, a lot of people suffer from tall poppy syndrome, where, like in America, it's the complete opposite. In America, if you're a young entrepreneur starting a business, everyone's excited for you. Yeah, go and get it. They really respect and idolize people of success because they want to come up themselves. I feel it's sad in Australia that when people do start a business or do start to have success, people want to criticize. They'll say, oh, he comes from a wealthy family, or he got lucky. It's not going to work. And that's why I think it's so important to surround yourself with other successful people in business, because nobody who's more successful than you will ever criticize you for starting a business or wanting to be successful. They're always more willing to help and offer advice because they appreciate and realize how fortunate they are. So that's why I think, when you break down that saying, that's what it sort of boils down to, is that people who are more successful than you are willing to help and want to see you succeed as well.
That's exactly why this podcast was created, because for me, I went through a journey of listening to other people's stories, and it was really all biographies that I wanted to understand how people did what they did, how they got where they were, and what their path was like. And not everybody starts, in this fortunate space where, they've got all of these, the life that you see right now. They've been through struggles or challenges. And this podcast was really created so that listeners could hear how, Jesse did this, for example, and he didn't come from this space. And this is the process that he went through, and this is his mindset, and this is his views, and this is what he's working towards, because they sort of see then that they can do it too. That's the whole concept.
Yeah. And I've just started a media company only a couple of months ago, and we've already got 3 really good clients. Those 3 clients originally came about by doing free work.
Yeah.
Like, I put my hand in my pocket, I paid for productions, reached out to a company, hey, I want to do this for you and create content for you, and this is the message we want to tell. And like, oh, we're not sure about it. We don't know if it's going to be worth the investment. I was like, look, I'll send the production crew, we'll come down, we'll create some content. If you like it, then we can look at going forward. So did that with an electrical company, did that with a really big builder, did that with a solar company. Just created content, put my hand in my pocket, spent it, and now all 3 of those clients are actually on board as Raeburn Media clients. So I think that, if you're not prepared to do more than what you're paid for, you're not going to be paid more for what you do. I think to anyone, like, you're starting out a business, why don't you show people what you can do first? Like, yes, maybe it might even cost you money. It might just cost you time. In my instance, I'm not a videographer or photographer, so I had to put my hand in my pocket, but I did have a very clear vision about some content that could work for these people. And so I went out and paid for it, and I did it. And, now we're doing property tours for builders, and, eventually, they're going to start paying for those. But yeah, you really have to invest in your business, not just setting it up, but going out there and showing clients what you can do.
About backing yourself, right?
Yeah, it is about backing yourself. I know that once they see what we're creating, the vision, I know they'll come on board as a client. And so, yeah, it's about going out there and showing them before you ask.
What advice would you give to someone who's sort of kicking the stones around at the moment and thinking about they'd like to do something? What advice would you give?
Well, if they are doing that, the chances are that they probably work full time for someone. So they're probably only working 38 hours a week. There is so much more time you can dedicate to mapping out a plan for a business that you want to start. Break it down step by step, what you need to do, break it down who are your ideal clients, get your social media up and running, connect with those clients through social media. That's the easiest way to connect with any business owner, is through social media. And, offer your service. If you offer your service and you're not asking for a payment, it's so much easier for them to agree to it or to try a product. And if they say yes, and then they come on board, just think of how much that is worth. So I think for any young entrepreneur starting out, wanting to get clients, just do the work first, and then the clients they will become clients, you know, by just showing them what you can do and offering your service.
Awesome. Great advice. And so what's next for you? I know you've just started this business, but I can tell that you've already got, I mean, apart from your property development that you've got, I'm sure there's something else in the works. Anything exciting you can share?
No. So the media, the television, I'm going to keep doing more of. I'd love to, in the media stuff, start producing some of our own TV shows. Got a couple of ideas that we're working on, and, you know, speaking to some people who may want to get involved as sponsors to fund the projects. And then I just sold my house, so then I can put that money into another project. So the goal is to, by the end of the year, have another project already purchased, approved, and then start construction next year. It'll depend on what scale. We're just working on a few things there.
What's your wife like with you? Is she like, are you the helium balloon that she's got to pull back down to earth, or is she like along for the ride? She just go, yep, let's just do it.
She's a bit of that tugging on the helium balloon. She does keep me sort of level-headed, and, you know, gives me some tough love, which is good. Just focus on one thing. I'm like, well, I'm doing 4 things. It's hard to focus on one. But she does keep me in line. But she is 100% along for the ride. So she's so supportive. Obviously, all the money that we have is our money, and she lets me spend it how I see fit. We don't talk about it, but our roles are very clearly defined in an unspoken way. We just know, like, I know what she expects of me, and she knows what I expect of her. And we have a great relationship, and we rarely argue about money or business or what I'm wanting to do. She just knows that if I'm passionate about something, you know, we've been together for 8 years. And so she's looked at where I was when she met me to where I am now. And so she never tries to stop me from doing anything. She's very encouraging and supportive, but she does give a bit of tough love as well.
I think that's what all entrepreneurs need. They need a cheerleader, but they also need someone to say, you know, no, maybe not, or have you thought about the consequences?
Yeah, you do need that little birdie on your shoulder, maybe offering some more realistic advice and goals.
Yeah. Are you the thinker, or are you really granular? Do you get an idea and then really nut it out, or are you always in the big space?
No, I think of a big goal, and then I break it down from there. And once I come up with an idea, I think I'm very good at solving problems and strategizing and figure out ways to make that happen. So then it's the big idea first, the dream, and then break that down to look at, all right, what's the first step in creating that dream?
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome, because that's where you get your plan from, right? That's the process.
Yeah, that's where you get the plan from. I think, yeah, you can't just come up with a plan. You need the dream first, the big end goal. You got this really big goal, and then I'm like, all right, well, that's probably unrealistic. That's like your Gary V, your Elon. How do I break it down to what I think is achievable for me while still being, you know, a really high goal? And then from that level, I'll break it down and then implement step by step what needs to happen and how we need to grow.
What would you say if people are listening now, because, you know, it is for people who are in business, or, you know, leaders in business, and I think that could potentially be the target market for Raeburn Media. What are you looking for, and what sort of clients are you hoping to attract?
Well, I want to attract businesses who want to grow their business through content creation. You know, and it's not you don't call and say, we want a videographer, come and do one shoot. Like most of our clients, we're creating, you know, on 12-month packages, or creating, you know, like the solar client, we're doing like over 20 short form videos for them that'll be rolled out over a 6-month period. And I think that is other clients that we want, not someone who just wants to get one post up or one video, because I think that's just lost. Because I believe, you know, consistency builds trust. And so you need to be consistent with the content that you're putting out. And I think in any business, I don't know, regardless of how much you earn, if you can create professional quality content, then that's a reflection of the quality of your business. Like, I know for me personally, if I'm looking at, you know, getting a trade or supplier, if I go on their socials and I see that they're investing, creating professional videos, professional photography, they're doing stuff that looks professional, I know that their business is very likely to be run very professionally, and they're going to take a lot of pride in what they do, rather than someone who's creating content just on their phone or not posting regularly. I think that they don't maybe take it as seriously, and that could be wrong, but that's my perception of businesses in the market. And I think that's a lot of people's perception of business in the market. You know, what you put out there on social is a 24-hour salesman for you and a reflection of your brand. So yes, it may be a small investment, but I guarantee that investment will 100% pay off. And I just know I've got so many examples of business owners who have invested in it and they've got huge rewards and return on that investment.
Yeah. And you talk about that a lot, your passion. It's all over your social media. You use that word quite a lot. I don't think it's something that you just simply say. From hearing you interview other people as well, it seems to be something that really drives you.
Yeah, definitely. I think in any business, it doesn't matter what it is. Even if you were selling like fishing hooks or something, if you were passionate about that business, then everyone who's interested in fishing will see that passion and want to buy your fishing hooks, right? Any business, cosmetics, building, trades, e-commerce, if you're passionate about what you do, in my business, I sell houses. That's my main job. And a lot of people say to me that my enthusiasm is contagious. And that's why people want to work with me. And I believe that's the same in business. If you're passionate and enthusiastic about what you do, it is contagious. People want to be around that. People know that what you are doing, you believe in, you're going to be the best at it, and you love what you do. So it's not like a job where you resent going to work. You love going to work. And so people want to be around that energy.
Absolutely. I think I watched one of your socials recently. You were fully dressed. You were selling a house, you jumped in a pool, and you had the most amazing shoes on as well. Like, you really threw yourself in.
Yeah, so that house I actually sold a couple of days ago. Actually, it went unconditional last night, and you know that it just smashed the suburb record by $550,000. It obliterated the suburb record at a time when the market's probably a little bit down, interest rates are very high, and I connected with that developer through social media because I create professional content. I then boost that content out. Every just listed, just sold. I get a vendor testimonial. I do market updates. So that's my business in real estate. And I invest, money every week in pushing out that content because consistency builds trust. This developer saw me for 6 months constantly in front of him, posting content. And he's like, I want that for my project. I want someone who's going to share it through social media. I want someone who's going to get involved, not just do a standard video or post. And so I did it everywhere. I got editorials. I reached out to everyone I knew who got editorials, put it on all the big Instagram property pages. The person who saw it was not looking in Bentley East. They saw my Instagram post, which I, put a couple $1,000s behind and got reached 50,000 people. They saw it from another suburb, came, fell in love with it, bought the property.
Yeah.
And I made that connection through, Instagram. And now I've got a client for life who I've probably got 6 more projects I'll sell for them in the next 18 months. And it doesn't matter if it's real estate, like any business can benefit by creating content and putting yourself out there through social media.
100%. You do it really well. So anyone who's listening, if you check out Jesse's socials, and there's a few of them, and I'll put them in the link under the episode, every single one of them, as I said to you just before we press record, I said it's very slick. It's everything you do is integrated, it's seamless, it looks fantastic, and it's a real testament to what you do. So well done.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. A lot of effort does go into it.
Sure it does. Thanks so much for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me, Kate. I hope your listeners enjoyed it and got something out of it. And if you ever want to connect or bounce ideas, just hit me up on Instagram. It's pretty easy to find me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay, bye.